I like drugs. Now, I'm not talking about doing them. I just like how different drugs affect different people in different ways. Now, I'm going to be talking about three different classifications of drugs, which is stimulants, depressants, and hallucinogens, and one drug from each of those categories and how they affect your body. Now, the first drug I will be talking about is methamphetamine, which is a stimulant, also known as an upper. The second is heroin, which is a depressant, and it's called a downer, and LSD, which is the hallucinogen. I've done research for the last couple of weekends, and I think I got a basis knowledge of what goes on to your body when these drugs enter. Now, in my opinion, the main reason people do drugs is because they want to have trips or unintentional effects on your mind. Starting out with methamphetamine, which is under the stimulant category, it is a drug that increases your alertness, and the different ways you can get it into your body is smoking it, inhalation, injection, and snorting it. The feeling you get when you're on meth can include euphoria, alertness, concentration, and restlessness. Heroin, on the other hand, is the depressant and is the exact opposite in methamphetamine in every way. It includes euphoria, but in a much higher sense. It will make you drowsy, and it will make you fall asleep. So, not the best drug, and it is extremely dependent. Make you extremely dependent on it. It's a much higher depressant than alcohol or marijuana. Last category of drug is LSD, which is in the hallucinogen. Things that you'll experience while on this drug is trips of visual colors and geometric shapes. Some people have even experienced perceptions of time changing and alterations in personality. Now, what actually happens when you are on these drugs physically? Like, what happens in the mind and what happens to your body? Methamphetamine, which is the stimulant, shows signs of hyperactivity. You'll see people be all jittery or higher blood pressure or just seem kind of anxious and nervous. There's also other side effects known as bruxium, which is what you hear called meth teeth, and I'll talk about that a little later. Other things more important towards methamphetamine are the tremors and rapid breathing. On a more neurological level, it affects the dopamine processors in your brain and it blocks the reabsorption of dopamine, meaning that your blood is more full of it and it gives you that high feeling. Second drug, which is heroin, is the contrast. It will loosen your body and give you a nice warm sensation all over it. This is because when heroin enters your body, it breaks down into morphine and it breaks down into 6-MAM, which is a psychoactive molecule. Morphine, as you know, is used by doctors and is used to calm the patient and is very, very strong in compared to other depressants. The last one I'll talk about is LSD, which is the hallucinogen. They all share the same visual processes and physical appearances, but the only difference in them is that the intensity changes. A look at what an LSD trip might look like is lots of visual colors. On a neurological level, the scientists haven't really gotten to why it happens, but they believe it deals with the serotonin level, which is your emotions, which is what makes you feel a certain way, and also how your brain interprets the symbols or the signals that come from your eyes, hence the visuals. Now that I've told you about short-term mental and physical effects, I will I will tell you what happens when these drugs are taken in long-term effects. Meth, which is probably one of the most dangerous, will affect you the most. After taking meth for quite a while, you will start to gain meth teeth, which is not due because of meth, it's due to your habits that change when you take meth. It's due to not brushing your teeth, drinking extremely caffeinated beverages, and it slims you down. Long-term effects of meth can then result in anxiety and panicness, paranoia, and delusions. Another drug that builds tolerance fairly quickly is heroin. Now, there isn't very many long-term effects of heroin other than dependency and addiction, but you can get AIDS and HIV by sharing needles, which is the main reason or the main way to get heroin into your body. And last but not least is LSD, which is the drug that you cannot get addicted to physically, but is a little scary because after taking LSD one time, you will be prone to getting trips anytime, anywhere. And even though that seems like it would be fun if you took acid, it's not, because it affects your daily activities, such as like you're working in the office and all of a sudden you start tripping balls. In conclusion, now you know a little bit more about drugs and how they can affect you. I talked about the 3 main types of drugs and their categories. I talked about how they can affect you physically and the dangers of long-term drug use. Just because I like drugs and how they work doesn't mean that I like doing them. Don't do drugs, stay in school.